Let's gather all the ingredients for the cream puffs. And now for the filling. Next, let's scale out the ingredients for the puffs: the milk, the butter, and the kosher salt. Now put the saucepan on medium heat and stir it occasionally while we go work on the chutney. Here we're dicing up the pears, rhubarb, and raspberries that we canned earlier in the season in our Circle Riesling syrup, but that's a recipe for another time. At home, when you make this recipe, feel free to use fresh pears, fresh raspberries, and rhubarb, along with the dried currants. In a large skillet on high heat, let's brown the onions.
Whoa!
Now let's add the fruit and the dried currants. Toss it around a little bit. And add a little bit of that Riesling syrup that we talked about earlier. Now that the chutney's cooking, let's add our 1.5 cups of flour and keep stirring, keep stirring, keep stirring until it starts to come together and look like soft bread dough or mashed potatoes. I think we're getting close. We're getting close. Perfect. Now let's put the dough in the mixing bowl, add the paddle attachment, and whip out some of the steam. Now let's crack the eggs in a separate container so we don't get shells in our dough. Let's add them one at a time and continue mixing until the dough looks like this and this. To fill the pastry bag, fold it over your hand, throw in the tip, and use a spatula to fill it. And only fill it halfway. Twist it shut, put a little bit under each corner of the paper. Now twist your rosettes and finish off the pan. Bake them in the oven at 350 degrees and spin them halfway through so they're evenly browned. Now let's get ready to build our puffs. Let's start by cutting the brie into 1/2-inch cubes. Boy, that stuff looks good. Now let's put a little bit of that pear chutney, about a teaspoon, in the bottom of each cream puff. Top that with a piece of brie, and then finish it off with a little bit of that raspberry jam. Close up the tops and bake them for about 5 minutes in the oven, just enough to melt the brie. Plating is simple, on organic hydroponic greens, with a few fresh herbs and fresh fruit that we get from a local farmer. And then it's off to the dining room to be served with a glass of our Circle Riesling. Stop by the bistro this November for the baked Brie Cream Puffs.